In the sun-drenched plains of Sabi Sands, where the golden light spills across endless grasslands, lion legends are born and fade with the turning of the seasons. This is a land where every sunrise brings new stories, and every shadow hides a secret. Names like Mapogo and Majingalane echo through the wild, their tales of conquest and dominance whispered by the wind and remembered by all who walk these plains. Their reigns were marked by fierce battles, dramatic takeovers, and the scars of survival. Yet among these giants there was another king, Tullamore, whose legacy was not written in scars or bloodshed, but in the quiet peace he brought to his realm. His story is not one of violence, but of a different kind of strength. Tullamore ruled with a quiet strength, moving like a ghost in the grass, his presence more often felt than seen. He was a master of subtlety, blending into the landscape, always watchful, always aware. While others sought glory through violence and displays of power, Tullamore built his empire with patience and wisdom. He understood that true leadership was not about fear, but about trust and protection. He avoided the spotlight, shunning the chaos of open conflict. Instead, he focused on protecting his pride, nurturing the young, and ensuring the safety of his lineage. His strength was in his restraint, his courage in his compassion. Tullamore's story is not one of dramatic battles or legendary rivalries, but of enduring stability, a king measured not by the number of his enemies, but by the peace he cultivated for those he loved. His reign reminds us that true greatness can be silent, steady, and unseen. Sometimes the most profound impact is made not by those who shout the loudest, but by those who quietly shape the world around them. This is the chronicle of the forgotten king, the sovereign whose power was felt in the calm he inspired, who proved that the most powerful roar is sometimes the one never heard. Let us step quietly into the world of Tullamore, the silent sovereign of Sabi Sands, and discover the legacy of a king whose greatness was measured not in battles won, but in the peace he left behind. Tullamore was born into a coalition of brothers, a rare and powerful alliance in the heart of the African wilderness. In a world where survival is never guaranteed, these bonds between males are both a shield and a sword, offering protection and strength in numbers. Their bond was forged in the daily struggle for survival, each day a test of their unity, each night a lesson in trust. Together, they faced the dangers of the savannah, from rival coalitions to prowling hyenas, learning that their greatest asset was each other. Even as a cub, Tullamore stood out among his siblings, muscular, calm, and with a pale mane that caught the golden light. He was different, not just in appearance, but in the way he carried himself, quietly observing the world with a thoughtful gaze. While his brothers tumbled and play-fought in the dust, Tullamore often sat apart, watching every move, learning from their mistakes and victories alike. He conserved his energy, choosing his moments with care, as if he already understood the value of patience. His quiet intelligence was unmistakable. Even at a young age, he seemed to grasp that survival in the wild required more than just brute force. It demanded strategy, observation, and the ability to adapt to ever-changing circumstances. The coalition became his first school. Together, the brothers learned to hunt as a team, to move silently through the tall grass, and to communicate with subtle glances and soft grunts. Every lesson was vital, every mistake a chance to grow stronger. Tullamore excelled at reading the bush, sensing danger before it appeared, and guiding his brothers with a steady, reassuring presence. He was never the loudest, but his confidence inspired trust. He became the anchor of their group, a paradox of strength and restraint. While others rushed forward, Tullamore held back, weighing every decision, always thinking several steps ahead. These early years shaped him into a leader who valued unity above all else. He learned that true power comes from calculated action and the ability to bring others together, even in the face of adversity. Tullamore discovered that reckless aggression could be fatal, and that the most successful hunters were those who waited for the perfect moment to strike. In the wild, patience is often the difference between life and death. The foundation of Tullamore's character was built on brotherhood and shared experience, preparing him for the day when he would have to walk alone. The lessons learned with his brothers would guide him on the solitary path toward kingship. He was a warrior who chose peace when he could, a leader destined to carve his own legacy in the wild, a legacy born from the strength of brotherhood and the wisdom of restraint. Leaving their birth pride, Tullamore and his brothers entered the perilous nomadic years. The Sabi Sands was a chessboard of rival coalitions, One wrong move could mean death. Tullamore's caution made him a master of survival, guiding his coalition through buffer zones and avoiding direct conflict. He chose patience over reckless challenge, preserving strength for the right moment. Food was scarce, and every meal was hard-won, but Tullamore's calm kept the group united. He taught them to move like ghosts, unseen and unheard, surviving where others perished. These years were his crucible, honing his instincts and mapping the invisible lines of power. He learned the habits of every rival, the calls of every threat. The nomadic struggle was not just waiting, it was intense learning, gathering the skills for kingship. Tullamore's prudence would become his greatest weapon. Tullamore's ascent to power was a masterclass in subtlety, a story rarely told in the wild where strength and aggression often rule. Unlike the roaring conquerors of legend, Tullamore's rise was almost invisible, a quiet ripple in the tall grass. He and his brother, now formidable adults, watched for the right moment, a territory where aging males were losing their grip. They spent weeks observing from a distance, learning the rhythms of the land and the weaknesses of its rulers. Every sunrise brought new information, every sunset a new plan. Instead of a violent takeover, Tullamore used gradual infiltration, scent marking the edges and letting his presence be known. He moved with purpose, leaving subtle signs for the old kings to find. Never a direct challenge, but a constant reminder that change was coming. This psychological pressure unsettled the old kings, who sensed their reign ending. Their confidence wavered as the invisible threat grew closer, and the pride began to sense the shift in power. Minor standoffs replaced epic battles. The old rulers retreated, unwilling to face Tullamore's calm authority. The savannah, usually echoing with the sounds of combat, was instead filled with tense silences and wary glances. It was a silent coup. Tullamore claimed his kingdom without bloodshed. His confidence was unshakable, his movements deliberate, as if he knew the land was already his. He secured a valuable territory and pride, rising to power with intelligence, not violence. The lionesses welcomed the new order, sensing the stability he brought, and the cubs played at his feet, unaware of the drama that had unfolded. His transition was smooth, ensuring stability from the start. The pride thrived under his leadership and the land grew quiet, no longer troubled by the chaos of war. Tullamore proved a lion could conquer with patience and strategy. He became a symbol of a new kind of power, one that relied on wisdom, timing, and restraint. The silent nomad had found his kingdom. His journey, marked by careful choices and quiet strength, had led him to a place where he could finally rule. His reign, built on wisdom, was about to begin. The savannah would remember him not for the battles he fought, but for the peace he brought. The era of the quiet king had dawned, and with it a new chapter in the story of the wild. Tullamore's rule reflected his character, an era of peace and stability. He patrolled quietly, his scent markers the law of the land. Challenges were rare, his calm authority was unquestioned. The pride flourished. Lionesses raised cubs in safety, spared from the violence of typical takeovers. Tullamore was a devoted father, his presence a shield for his family. Secure borders meant better hunting and higher cub survival. He fostered cooperation, not fear, benefiting every pride member. This tranquility was his greatest achievement, a golden age for his pride. In a world defined by violence, Tullamore created an oasis of peace. He was more than a ruler, he was a guardian and provider. Tullamore's true strength was his intelligence. He avoided unnecessary fights, knowing even victory could mean fatal injury. He chose his territory wisely. Abundant prey, natural defenses, minimal patrols. His internal map of the land allowed him to control with efficiency. Tullamore read social dynamics expertly, responding with tolerance or assertiveness as needed. He maintained dominance without creating dangerous rivalries. His mind was his sharpest weapon, bringing long-term stability to his pride. Tullamore proved that the most successful king is the one who navigates with wisdom. He was the thinking lion's king. Despite his success, Tullamore's name is little known. His reign lacked the drama that draws cameras, no epic battles, no sensational footage. He avoided the spotlight, resting in thickets, wary of human presence. Few photographs exist. His legacy lives in whispered stories, not documentaries. Other, more violent coalitions dominated headlines, overshadowing his quiet rule. The world craved spectacle, missing the subtlety of Tullamore's greatness, yet those who knew him saw a different kind of king. His lack of fame enhances his significance, a ruler for his pride, not for the cameras. His success was measured in survival, not in views. Tullamore's legacy is a reminder that the most important stories are often the quietest. A lion's true legacy is in his offspring. Tullamore's peaceful reign allowed multiple litters to thrive, his bloodline enduring in the Sabi sands. His descendants roam the land, carrying his calm and resilience. Every successful cub is a testament to the foundation he built. Guides and trackers remember him as a benchmark of greatness. His influence is seen in the thriving lion population, not in fleeting fame. Tullamore's story teaches that legacy is built on nurturing the next generation. His silent reign roars through the bloodlines of Sabi sands. Tullamore's journey redefines power in the wild. He chose intellect and patience over violence, learning from every hardship. His rise was a silent coup, prioritizing stability over bloodshed. As king, he fostered peace, creating a sanctuary for his pride. His story counters the myth of the brutal Lion King. Though overshadowed by louder rivals, his legacy endures in the ecosystem and his descendants. Tullamore proves the most impactful leaders are not always the loudest. True kingship is about wisdom, strategy, and unwavering protection. The Silent King's legacy is not scars, but life, an enduring lesson in the power of quiet strength. Tullamore, a lion whispered about across the plains, was different. His name carried a quiet weight, spoken in hushed tones by those who had seen him move through the grass like a shadow. He was a legend in the making, not for his brute force, but for something far rarer. He wasn't the biggest or loudest, but he was the smartest, a strategist who ruled with foresight, not fear. While other lions relied on their size and their thunderous roars to command respect, Tullamore relied on his mind. He understood that true power lay in patience and observation. While others fought and postured, Tullamore watched, learning the subtle politics of the pride and the secrets of the land. He noticed the patterns in the movements of herds, the shifting alliances among rival males, and the quiet signals exchanged between lionesses. Every detail mattered to him. He knew the wild was a chessboard and he intended to be its grandmaster. Each decision was calculated, every move deliberate. He anticipated threats before they appeared and found opportunities where others saw only danger. His reputation grew quietly. Animals recognized his deliberate movements and gave him respect, not out of terror but caution. The antelope would freeze when he passed, not because he charged, but because he seemed to know exactly when to strike and when to wait. Even the birds seemed to fall silent as he moved. Even hyenas and elephants sensed his calm authority. The hyenas, notorious for their cunning, kept their distance, wary of his unpredictable strategies. The elephants, wise and ancient, acknowledged him with a respectful distance, recognizing a kindred spirit in his quiet strength. Tullamore proved that sharp minds outlast sharp claws. In a world where most kings ruled by force, he ruled by outthinking his rivals. His eyes, always alert, missed nothing. He was a master of reading the land and the creatures that shared it. The younger lions watched him, learning from his every move. Lionesses trusted his judgment, knowing he would lead them to safety and sustenance. His influence stretched beyond his own pride, shaping the very balance of life on the savanna. Unlike most males who blaze and fade, he played the long game, building a reign measured in years, not fleeting seasons. His legacy was not written in the scars of battle, but in the stability and prosperity of his pride. He redefined what it meant to be king, wisdom as his crown, strategy as his scepter. His rule was marked by peace and order, not chaos and fear. He was a leader who inspired loyalty, not submission. In a world ruled by brute force, Tullamore's true power was his mind. He was a thinker, a planner, and above all, a survivor. His story became a legend, told in the quiet moments between hunts and storms. His story was not of conquest, but of clever survival. Tullamore's reign was a testament to the strength of intelligence, proving that sometimes the greatest kings are those who rule with their minds, not just their might. Tullamore understood that every fight risked injury, and in the wild, even the smallest wound could spell disaster. A single scratch could fester. A limp could slow a lion down just enough to miss a meal or fall behind the pride. For a lion, survival was a delicate balance, and Tullamore knew that recklessness could tip the scales against him. He learned early that the savanna was not just a place of brute strength, but of cunning and patience. Every scar told a story, and Tullamore had seen enough to know that wisdom often outlasted raw power. He became a master of avoidance, observing rivals from a distance, reading their intent before acting. He watched the way they moved, the tension in their bodies, the subtle signals of aggression or fear. Tullamore understood that knowledge was its own kind of armor. If challengers were strong, he'd retreat, conceding ground temporarily, knowing they'd overreach or clash with others. He let the impatient burn themselves out, their energy wasted on battles that changed nothing. This wasn't cowardice, it was strategic genius. Tullamore's restraint was a sign of his confidence, not his fear. He knew that true power lay in knowing when to act and when to wait. While younger lions wasted energy in pointless battles, Tullamore rested, hunted, and strengthened his pride. He invested his time in what truly mattered, the safety and prosperity of his family. He only fought when the odds were overwhelming in his favor, striking with precision and purpose. Every move was calculated, every risk measured. His restraint baffled others, but it was his greatest weapon. Rivals could not predict him, and allies learned to trust his judgment. When the infamous marauders invaded, Tullamore vanished with his pride, using secret paths he'd memorized over years of quiet observation. He led his family through hidden trails away from danger while others faced chaos. The marauders, frustrated and unable to find their quarry, left in search of easier prey. Their strength was wasted on empty ground, while Tullamore's pride remained safe and unseen. Tullamore's kingdom remained intact, his pride unscathed. While others nursed wounds and counted losses, his family thrived in peace. He won by not fighting, letting rivals exhaust themselves. Their battles left them weaker, while Tullamore grew stronger in the shadows. His approach was patience over pride, survival over ego. He understood that the greatest victories were often invisible, marked not by scars but by the quiet continuation of life. In a world obsessed with dominance, Tullamore's wisdom set him apart. He became a legend not for the fights he won, but for the wars he never had to wage. He proved that sometimes the best victory is the one you never have to fight. True strength, he showed, was measured in what you could walk away from. And so, Tullamore's legend grew, not for battles won, but for wars avoided, and for the wisdom that kept his pride safe beneath the endless African sky. Tullamore didn't covet the richest land. He was a lion who understood that survival wasn't always about having the most, but about making the smartest choices. While other males fought tooth and claw for the lushest valleys and the densest herds, Tullamore watched from a distance, weighing his options with a strategist's patience. Prime territory meant constant conflict. The best land was a magnet for rivals, drawing endless challenges and bloody battles that left even the victors scarred and weary. For many, the glory was never worth the cost. Instead, Tullamore chose stability over glory, settling in the overlooked foothills where the prey was steady, if not abundant. Here he could hunt antelope and smaller game without the constant threat of invasion. The land was modest, but it offered something far more valuable: peace. The rocky outcrops gave him perfect vantage points to spot intruders from afar, while the tangled woodlands provided cover for ambush or a quick retreat. Every feature of his chosen home became a tool in his defensive arsenal, allowing him to outthink rather than outfight his enemies. He built a fortress, not just a feeding ground. His territory was a stronghold, a place where his pride could rest without fear, and where he could control every approach. Expansion was slow and methodical. He only claimed what he could defend. Each new stretch of land was carefully chosen, never overreaching, always ensuring his borders were secure. This patient approach created a solid, peaceful kingdom where his pride thrived. Cubs grew up in safety, learning the ways of the land without the shadow of constant danger. By avoiding daily friction with other predators, he conserved energy for what mattered most: raising his young, maintaining his strength, and ensuring the pride's future. Tullamore carved out a niche, minimizing competition and maximizing security. He became a master of his environment, adapting to its challenges and turning its limitations into advantages. His territory was a masterclass in ecological strategy, a patchwork of habitats that offered everything his pride needed: shelter, food, and safety. He saw value where others saw second best, building a legacy on peace, not perpetual war. His wisdom ensured that his pride would not just survive but truly flourish. In the end, his pride flourished in a land others ignored, proof that true genius lies not in conquest, but in the art of choosing well. In lion society, coalitions are survival. Tullamore ruled with his brother Cato, blending brains and brawn in perfect partnership. He respected Cato's strength, letting him lead at the kill, while Tullamore guided strategy. Their unity deterred challengers and kept the pride stable. Tullamore also valued the lionesses, learning from their hunts and supporting them at critical moments. The pride thrived with little internal strife. Cubs were safer, and the group was strong. Tullamore's true strength was in building a resilient, united family. He proved that a king's power lies in the bonds he forges, not just the battles he wins. Tullamore's greatest weapon was his watchful eye. From his granite perch he read the landscape, migration patterns, prey habits, and the movements of rivals. This knowledge made him an efficient hunter and a master at avoiding danger. He noticed subtle shifts, a giraffe's stare, a flock's sudden flight, signs of threats others missed. Tullamore always stayed one step ahead, changing course before trouble arrived. He learned from every animal, storing information to anticipate rivals' moves. His vigilance protected his pride, from injured lionesses to wandering cubs. He was an engaged leader, not a distant king. His constant observation was an invisible shield, more powerful than any roar. Tullamore's mind was always working, ensuring his family's safety. When drought struck, the savannah became a land of dust and desperation. While other prides starved, Tullamore adapted. He shifted from hunting large game to smaller, overlooked prey, warthogs, porcupines, even birds. He taught his pride new techniques like digging out burrows and led them to hidden water sources only he remembered. His flexibility was their lifeline. Rivals who relied on brute force perished. Tullamore's pride survived, lean but united. The great drought weeded out the inflexible, rewarding intelligence and adaptability. Tullamore didn't just endure, he outsmarted the crisis. His leadership turned hardship into survival. In the harshest times, his mind was their greatest asset. He proved that survival belongs to those who can change. As Tullamore aged, he felt his strength wane and new challengers approach. Instead of clinging to power, he shifted roles, from warrior to wise mentor. He nurtured his two sons, teaching them the art of leadership and defense. Unlike most males, he didn't drive them out, but groomed them as successors. Cato and the young males took on patrols, while Tullamore became the pride's strategist. His experience guided their actions, tempering youthful aggression with wisdom. The pride grew stronger, repelling rivals through coordinated defense. Tullamore's legacy was not just his reign, but the future he prepared. True leadership, he showed, is about ensuring the group's survival beyond oneself. He secured his pride's future by passing on his knowledge. Even as his body faded, his mind remained the pride's greatest strength. Tullamore's reign was defined by how he ruled, not just what he ruled. He led with intelligence, earning respect instead of fear. His pride was stable, his lionesses successful, and his cubs safe. Even rivals hesitated to challenge him, sensing his unique strength. His leadership created a sanctuary, not just a territory. Tullamore's reign lasted over a decade, rare for a male lion. He proved that wisdom outlasts brute force. In the wild, intelligence is the ultimate survival tool. Tullamore died peacefully, surrounded by the family he protected. His legacy lived on in his sons, who ruled with the same intelligence and cooperation. The pride's resilience and unique strategies became legend, passed down through generations. Even humans spoke of Tullamore with reverence, a lion who outsmarted rivals and led through drought. His story inspired a deeper respect for animal intelligence. Tullamore's life reminds us that true power is often quiet and enduring. His legacy echoes in the success of his descendants and the stories told across the savannah. He was the king who ruled not by might, but by mind.